Wait, Chochwaidem, Phyllis Rosetta and Squist. I'm from Stwacham Heitlam. My daughter, Stacey Amanda Harry. She was born August 24th, 1983. And she died of a drug overdose October 31st, 2017. She has 3 children, but somewhere down the road she got introduced to the opiates, and I did not realize that she was what she was doing, because being a drug addict, you know how to cover things up and and just keep things you're really good at lying to your family and to yourself. You know that you have it under control. And I wasn't sure when she started doing drugs, like, those opiates. And she gave her 2 youngest children to their dad, which I'm really grateful for that he had them. And he still has them. It's Catherine and Jaden, and then Jamie came into my care. And it wasn't that long, and she died of a drug overdose in Kamloops by herself on October 31st, 2017. And for me, that was the hardest thing, is knowing my daughter died by herself and no one was with her. And and it was Halloween, and she loved Halloween. She loved all the holidays. She'd decorate Christmas, birthdays, Halloween, any kind of a holiday she'd decorate. She loved Halloween. She would dress up. And on that day, we usually have a big Halloween celebration in the community of Dog Creek, and on that day I was cooking and hot dogs and making hot chocolate, and the kids were out trick-or-treating, and you get busy, and I never took pictures of Jamie that day, in her costume, and so when I got home, must have been about 8:30, 9 o'clock that evening, I phoned her, because every day she called me. I phoned her and I said, Stacey, I'm really sorry. I went to the answering voicemail, so I said, Stacey, I'm sorry. I never got any pictures of Jamie tonight. We got busy doing whatever we are doing. I said, you know what I always do? I'm cooking and helping people and stuff. I said, I never got no pictures of Jamie's costume. I said, I'm hoping Sean got some of the kids. I'll ask him for it and I'll get it to you. And so, and I left it that, and I said, I love you, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully I can talk to you tomorrow. But whenever she went into one of her drug binges, she would, just not bother calling or answering her phone, or, but most days she would call me every day, and she'd see how we're doing, or she'd say, Mom, can you e-transfer me $10? I want to go to 7-Eleven and get a slushie and my snacks. So I would email her $10, because I learned early on not to give her $20, because she could withdraw that out of the bank. every day that she called, she would, we'd have a good chat, and I'd tell her, she'd tell me, I love you, Mama, I'll talk to you tomorrow, or, she'd say, I love you, Mama, every day. She'd tell me she loved me, and I would tell her, I love you too, baby, I'll talk to you again. So that's one of the things that I'm really grateful is, we always told each other that we loved each other, and because I had talked to her on the 30th and told her I would call her on the 31st on Halloween. But that, and when we went to bed, and my son was in the living room on his tablet at 4 o'clock in the morning, the RCMP came and knocked on our door, and my son came and told me, Mom, the cops are here to see you, and you just... So I went in there and they told me, I said, are you guys here about my daughter? And he said, yes, we're sorry to inform you that your daughter had what we believe is a drug overdose. I never want anybody to feel that pain. My son was sitting there and he just sat there and cried and told Justin, go up and tell your brother Gary what happened to your sister. And I went into my bedroom and I told my husband, I said, the cops are here. They told me Stacey died of a drug overdose. She died October 31st, and we buried her on Remembrance Day, November 11th, because of they have to go through the coroner services to make sure they know what she died from, even though they knew she died from a drug overdose. Julie and Gary brought me and Jamie down to Kamloops to go and see her on the day she died, and I went down there, and different places have different rules and stuff, and I had phoned RCMP gave me the coroner's phone number, so I phoned him and I said, I'm coming down to see my daughter, and he said, we don't do that. And I said, well, today you're doing that because that's my daughter. I'm not seeing her. And so he said he would set up a visit down there, so when we got to Kamloops, we had to wait for them. You have to go through all the procedures of what you have to do, and so we waited for her there. And when they brought her in this bag, I kept thinking to myself, please don't let it be Stacey. Please don't let it be Stacey. And then I felt guilty for thinking that, because then that was somebody else's daughter. And then they unzipped her. It's my baby.
So my name is Julie. I am Stacey's sister-in-law, and I've been in her life, majority of her life. So I kind of played the big sister role. We did a lot of raising her, and I and her brother. Just before she died, what she thought was normal in her life, what she thought, the thoughts in her head she lived with. She was just in the process of being diagnosed. She never shared that until later, probably about a year and a half before she died, that she had voices in her head that were there for a long time that she thought was normal. Like, she struggled with mental health for a long time because you'd see her succeed, she'd be good for so long, and then bam, she'd fall into addiction. And then she'd get up get her life back in order, and then bam again. She was amazing. She was huge. You know, me and her, we bashed a lot of the times and during her addiction, but I was never afraid to tell her how I felt. I never sugarcoated things for her because I know her worth. And her brother loved her so much that he had so much anger. Oh my God. I too have regrets. I regret that I didn't make her stay. I regret the day that she came and dropped Jamie off. But I didn't make her stay. Oh, I just miss her. My son struggles. My oldest son struggles every day. Stacey had a huge part of his life. She raised him. She helped raise him when he was just a baby until... I can just say that she's very loved and very missed, and oh, I haven't talked about her in a long time. I think about her all the time. I pray to her because my son struggles with her death. She was amazing, Mom. She was an amazing person. She was an amazing sister-in-law. And I miss her. I miss her so much.
Wake Bahida, Jimmy Letton Squest. I'm from Dog Creek, New Creek community. My mom is Stacey Amanda Harry, and my dad is Sean Sweezy. I guess we can start out with one of my first memories with my mom. I just ate a whole thing of crackers, and my mom was saying, you're gonna get a really bad stomach ache from that. And then I started freaking out because I hated being sick. And I was crying and crying. Mind you, I was like 5. And she holds me right on my little shoulders, and she looks me right in the eye. I can always remember her freckles and her eyes. She said, just breathe. Big breath in. Hold. And let it out. And she made me do it a few more times until I was calm. And that's been one of the greatest memories of my mom, is having her help me. Even after so long she's gone, she still helps me. She made this friend. I don't know if they were friends longer before or not, but he decided to stay with us. And my mom let him because he could fix our van, and our van had a stupid belt or something. Something wasn't working on their fan belt. There you go. It wasn't working, and he could fix it when my mom's hands were too hurt to try to fix it. And when we'd fixed the van, I thought we were gonna go get some cannabis, but we went to this house. A year or two later, that house got shot up and somebody died in it. I always remember that stupid hill, how the van would try to drive up it and it would wiggle on other side because the road wasn't properly made. That was my first time ever seeing cocaine. It was after going to that house. I didn't know for a while that it was cocaine. I tried my best to ignore it. I didn't want to believe my mom was doing that. I didn't see anything. I didn't tell anybody. Because how could I tell anybody? Who would believe me that my mom would do that? And that's when I started getting really bad in school. I always remember this one teacher. Everybody in the whole school said he's amazing, and I bet you he is an amazing guy. But he was extra hard on me, and I don't know why. But just coming home from having all that stuff happen at home and then go to school and have this guy tell me that I'm horrible at social studies and that I need to come to school earlier when my mom doesn't even want to get out of the bed in the morning, where I have to give her medication every day. I had to get they had no school buses where I live, like right in the middle of town, and they don't have a school bus for me. So I could never get to school on time. I had to take the community bus up to Kolomitsa. I was always late to school. The counselors didn't even listen to me, saying that this is what's happening at home. I need to be at home. Whenever I'm here, I'm scared that my mom's gonna hurt herself. It was like I was living my bestest life, and then she just dragged us downhill so fast. So fast. Next thing you know, we were selling things in the house. I just hope that there's more resources for daughters like me.
To this day, I struggle with coming to terms with the passing of Stacey. I've always understood that sometimes bad things happen in life, but you never think it's going to happen to you. They say there's a reason. They say that time will heal. Well, when Stacey passed, it was one of the biggest heartbreaks of my life, and nothing prepared me for it. I've seen her struggle. I've seen her succeed. But there was one thing she never let diminish, and that was the love she had for her children, her nieces and nephews, her godchild, her parents and her brothers, her family. She was so full of life. She lived for every moment. She had the heart of gold that was broken so many times throughout her life. There's 1,000 moments that I'd taken for granted because I assumed there was 1,000 more. She struggled with mental health and addiction, and it was addiction that ended up taking her life.
I have 5 children. Carrie's the oldest, then Victor, then Justin and Stacey, who was my only girl, and Kyle is my youngest. You know, I always wanted a daughter, and then she is taken from me. Every day I miss her. Every day I think about her. I'm really so grateful that we have lots of memories. We have lots of pictures of her.